Hey everyone, what's up? I just heard that the new ban list for the May 2022 TCG format has been released, and let's see what cards got hit and what cards are still legal. So let's begin. So the first thing I noticed is that it says that this ban list is effective from May 17th, 2022, and as you can see, that's the exact date today. This means that this thing is literally there's no more like grace period where they give you any advance time. This means that this list is effective immediately, and you just have to plunge right into the new format and go from there. There's no more like time to test out new strategies beforehand. So this is interesting because that means in a couple weeks time, uh, I heard there's going to be another YCS event. This means that for people playing that YCS, they literally have less than 2 weeks to think up of what a new strategy if their deck got hit. And in addition, I see that it says the next update after this will be no earlier than a few months from now, as usual. So this means that who knows? Like next list, it could be in August, it could be in early September. Like there's no like set date that we will be like given anymore. But yeah, let's see what cards are actually hit. Uh Oh no! Wow, Mecha Phantom Beast Auroradon. Yeah, this thing it was a token generator, and it doesn't even restrict you from summoning monster for the rest of the turn. It just said that you cannot summon more link monsters for the rest of the turn. And this is the the thing is, if you summon three tokens, most of the time your opponent can go into Baron de Fleur with their three tokens, or summon like Borlo Savage Dragon. Neither of those are synchro monsters. So the Auroradon's restriction doesn't even negatively impact them all that much. Verti Anaconda, this was something that like the entire Yu-Gi-Oh community unanimously agreed need to get banned. It basically made the downsides of cards like Red Eyes Fusion or like Fusion Destiny. It basically made the downsides of those cards completely irrelevant, and you don't even have to hard draw them. Hell, most of the time you don't even want to draw them at all. You just wanted to basically go about your combo, summon Verti Anaconda last, and then still get basically the best of both worlds. Essentially, in a way, it feels almost like you're cheating out like a random Dragoon or a random DPE after your combo has already been fully blocked off altogether. And I feel like this is just never fair. Your opponent should not be dropping like 3, 4 hand traps against you, and you still manage to get out at least a Dragoon or a DP like at the end, regardless. Uh, Although this does make me wonder. Okay, so now the Verti Anaconda has been hit. Uh, like what's gonna happen to Dragoon and DP? Are people still just not gonna use them anymore? If so, this does make those cards the value of those cards really would like I expect them to completely tank. Meow Meow Moo is an interesting case because this is one of the few times that a that extra deck monster off an archetype got hit because that archetype itself was overperforming. The only other examples I can think of would be something like Wind Up Carrier Mighty or a Salamangreat Mirage Stelio. I wouldn't count something like a Thunder Dragon Colossus because Colossus is something you rather end on as one of those like boss monsters with protection. Whereas things like Zemite or like Mirage Stelio, those are mostly like cards that can facilitate your combo further rather than a monster that you would end up on sitting behind. But I guess to be fair, like Prankis, they have been like overperforming despite their previous hit. Uh, but then Meow Meow Moo at zero now. Like, what are Prank Kids gonna do? How are they gonna like combo off? I mean, yes, they probably won't be able to combo off of one card anymore. But let's say they give them a two-card combo. I wonder would they still be able to maybe go off from there, or just be slightly less consistent and require more resources? And their recovery play would obviously be hindered as like Meow Meow Moo is now banned. But yeah, let's only time can tell how good Prank Kids will be after this. Uh, let's see. Nothing else for the Forbidden. I'm glad to see the Max C was still on the list. Let's see. Oh, Jet Synchron's back. You know, when the I saw the Auroradon hit, it did make me wonder. Like Auroradon's banned, but what about Hauke Fibrax? Now I get that if Auroradon is hit, that indirectly limits the power of Hauke Fibrax significantly, because now you cannot just go, oh, summon Hauke Fibrax, summon say Jet Synchron, and then go into Auroradon directly. Uh, but then going from Hauke Firebrax to Jet Synchron, players can still do that. Like I don't know like how else they would follow up from that, but like but the fact that Hauke Firebrax is still legal in the game right now, and then Jet Synchron literally just came back, that does raise some eyebrows. And let's see, Red Rose Dragon. Yes, this thing is part of the based deck strategy, I believe, and I believe this card's a one card combo starter that gets you into cards like Baron de Fleur and maybe the Sword Soul, some like Sword Soul Grandmaster stuff. So I guess limiting this to one, I mean the combo is still doable. You don't need multiple Red Rose Dragons to get into the combo, but it does affect the combo's consistency significantly. So I think this one is uh justifiable. Let's see what's next. Yada Garasu is now legal. Holy crap. Now it makes me wonder, what about Time Seal? Like, the thing is, I understand that these days, okay, most decks, they can play without their draw phase. They can just banish stuff from their graveyard, summon monsters from the extra deck, like how ABCs does it. Or in the case of, like, Tempest Dragon Ruler, you can just basically summon it from the graveyard by banishing other dragons from the graveyard. And also, there are other cards that say banish this card from the graveyard, search cards from your deck. Like Chaos, I believe Chaos Space or something like that has a similar type of effect with that. So I'm not sure if Yatagarasu will have the dominant power that it once did. Uh, but then forcing your opponent to skip their draw phase altogether is kind of degenerate. But then again, like other old cards that were previously on the forbidden list, if you think about things like Sinister Serpent, for instance, like when Sinister Serpent came out, like did it end up becoming as overpowered as it was back in the day? No, right? So I understand that there are examples like Dryden or like Imperial Order that even after getting an errata, Imperial Order was still too good for the game. So for Yatagrasu's case, I can see one of a few things happening. One is going to turn out to be like another Sinister Serpent. It's just going to become completely irrelevant and eventually it's going to go to three. Or two is going to turn out to be like an Imperial Order or Trident, and in which case it's just going to get banned like the very next list. So yeah, let's see what happens to Yatagarasu. I mean, it doesn't have very high stats, and you have to go for a direct attack, and it also eats up your normal summon. So those are all huge risks that players planning to go for Yatagarasu would uh, have to take. Moving on. Oh, speaking of Hauke Fibrax, it's limited. Honestly, this card literally makes like no sense whatsoever. Okay, limiting it does nothing. Most decks only run one Hauke Fibrax anyway. Even when it was at 3, it was people only ran most of the time only ran one. Limiting this, uh, like if you're gonna hit it, I would say just ban it. If you're not gonna ban it, then there's no point wasting a spot on the limited list whatsoever. I understand that it just got a reprint, so like if you ban the card, then that would have beaten the purpose of giving this card a reprint altogether. But limiting it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Okay, it literally makes like no sense. It's just wasting a spot on the on the limited list. But who knows? I could be wrong. Maybe someone else can think up of a combo that is possible with one Hauke Firebrax or something like that, with and no Auroradon needed. But let's see. Monkey board. Honestly, at this rate, I don't think it's likely that cards like Electromite will come back. But this is a pendulum monster, and recently Dimension Force released a Link monster called Beyond the Pendulum, which supports the pendulum mechanic. It's arguably not as powerful as something like Electromite, but who knows? With Monkey Board in the game, maybe like those two cards have some kind of synergy with each other. Uh, Shooting Riser Dragon, interesting. Uh, like I understand the hits to Hauke Fibrax and Auroradon, but shooting Riser Dragon, I really don't understand because uh because the thing is like with Auroradon ban and without the token generating ability, like what can shooting Riser Dragon really do? And I understand that Destrudo is legal in the game, so you can go into Destrudo with this card. But then what? How do you follow up from there? So like limiting this card, I guess it's maybe it could be a preemptive limit in case someone figures out some Destrudo combo with shooting Riser Dragon. But let's see. Change of heart. You know, the last time something like this happened, I remember it was with Snatch Steel, and it Snatch Steel literally got hit like one ban list later. Okay, so the fact that Change of Heart is legal makes me think that Konami they didn't learn their lesson with Snatch Steel. Now, provided Triple Tactics Talent has a similar effect as Change of Heart, and but the thing is, Triple Tactics Talent is not proactive or self sufficient, whereas Change of Heart is. So maybe that's the biggest difference why Triple Tactics Talent it's like legal at 3. But even then, like when people actually get off the effect of Triple Tactics Talent, it's actually a pretty devastating blow to the opponent most of the time. So now not only will basically one of those 3 Triple Tactics Talents effects be legal in its own card, it's actually completely proactive, and you can just play it as a going second. Now, I understand that historically, going second has never been like advantageous to the player going second, and Change of Heart can possibly like alleviate that. But I still feel like the Change of Heart it should have some kind of like cost associated. The fact that it doesn't have any cost or restriction to what you can do with the monster, and especially in the late game when both players are top decking, if you want single Change of Heart can literally just mean like a free win. And I feel like that's uh, really like sacky and luck based, almost like oh you just happen to draw maxi in your opening 5 cards, and like that means basically like I can't play the game. But yeah, I think this card is very likely it's just gonna get hit back to 0 on the next list, but who knows? I could be wrong. And Time Seal. Wow. So first Yada Garasu and now Time Seal. The only difference with this and Yada Garasu is that this card uh, it doesn't need to deal any damage. You can just play it and then immediately your opponent skips their next draw phase. Although the thing is, usually by that point in time, the game has already like established enough that like skipping your draw phase uh, in a 1-for-1 is a 1-for-1 trade at that point at most. It doesn't like block your opponent from progressing whatsoever. And the fact that this card is a trap card means that it's not really anywhere near as like good as as if it were a spell card. Uh, And as the aforementioned, most decks these days they can play without a draw phase. They can just summon like search stuff by banishing from the graveyard, summon stuff by banishing stuff from the graveyard. You don't really need even if your draw phase is like stopped, it's like a speed bump essentially. So maybe this card it won't be as like powerful as it once was. I mean, people can just use cards like Reckless Greed to alleviate the effects of this card. So basically, with Reckless Greed, the accumulated draw phases don't stack. So if your opponent plays a Time Seal, then it's basically just a waste. Uh, let's see, Dynamite, the True Draco Fighter. Huh. So I guess this card makes is like a like slowly True Dracos are getting their support back. I mean, like Masterpiece is banned, Diagrams at 1. I don't see how giving them a second True Draco fight, Dynamite Knight, is gonna change things. Cyber Angel Benton, I guess this just implies that Drytrons aren't much of a thing anymore. Fire Formation Tenki. Okay, I guess this thing is what I just said for Drytrons, but for like the Lyrilusk and for the Lyrilusk deck and the and like other like a beast like the Fractal Nerval, those things. They don't I guess given how the Lyrilusk engine is more or less uh gone. I guess Tri Brigade they're not as like powerful. So I guess this card could come back. Pot of Desires. I never understood why this card even got hit in the first place. Uh, like I feel like with cards like Pot of Extravagance, Pot of Prosperity, those cards are actually better than Desires, and we don't see those cards getting hit. So I guess coming back to limited, semi-limited, I wouldn't be surprised if this card goes to unlimited on the next list. So that's good. Trickstar Light Stage. The only other two field spells I feel are roughly comparable to this would be something like a Union Hanger or a like Magical Meltdown. And then again, I say both of like Hanger and Meltdown are for decks that are actually somewhat relevant, whereas Light Stage is for Trickstar, which isn't nearly as relevant as those two other decks. So I guess coming back to two is fine, I suppose. Wall of Revealing Light. Honestly, this card can come back to three and nobody would care, okay? This card is not Mystic Mine, okay? First of all, this card's not searchable because it's not a field spell. Second of all, it only prevents your opponent from attacking, but it doesn't stop them from using monster effects. So if they wanted to, they can just summon a Nightmare Phoenix or Tornado Dragon, pop this card, and continue beating you down with it. And basically, you just wasted a whole bunch of life points for nothing. So yeah, this thing is probably going to come back to three on the next list. This was long overdue. Uh, and coming back to the unlimited cards, you have Night Assailant no longer limited, Trishla no longer limited. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Night Assailant got an errata recently that says it can no longer add another copy of Night Assailant back from your graveyard to your hand. If so, then like yes, this card can exist at three. It's basically no better than something like Snowman Eater or a Man Eater Bug at that point. Trishla Dragon of the Ice Barrier. Well, like with Auroradon ban, there's no longer going to be some token spamming that can make it really easy to summon the Trishla. And oh, nice. Mirage Stelio and Salamangreat Circle. Uh, rejoice all Salamangreat players. Now the only card you guys have that is still on the ban list is Gazelle. And this means that with Mirage Stelio at three, Circle at three, and you also got the Pot of Desires back to two, your deck is basically almost back to full power. And I get that Salamangrace, it was a strategy that came out in like 2019, 3 years ago. But I feel like given like these cards coming back, I feel like Salamangrace do have the potential to be one of the better rogue decks in the strategy. And that's a lowball estimate. Anyways, with the Hero Lives, like this thing should never have been hit. I get that Konami hit it because they brought Stratos back to two. Three brought Stratos back. But the thing is, Stratos, by today's standards, it's just a good card. It wasn't even a great card anymore. So hitting a Hero Lives literally makes no sense. Scapegoat, I get that it's a token generator, but again, like I don't think like most decks would run Scapegoat because like it's even though it's a quick play spell card, it's not a combo extender because it does restrict you from special summoning or like on that same turn. So basically, it's almost at this point, you may as well have just treated Scapegoat as if it were a trap card. And if Scapegoat was a trap card, I don't think anyone would complain about it being at three, even if it had the exact same effect. So, given this, I'd say yes, it's justifiable for Scapegoat to come back to three, and I don't think anyone would would be able to come up with some degenerate like combo with using Scapegoat and whatnot. So anyway, this is it for the list. Like this is literally one of the biggest lists we have seen in quite a while, actually, and this is bordering on one of those crucifixion lists which have a lot of stuff hit. And I guess like these are like the big major like hits to this list. And one thing I want to say is that I guess the adventure package it was never touched in this list. So it makes me wonder, like, how much longer before that list gets hit? That package gets hit. Like what? A few months from now, maybe on the next list. But let's see. Only time can tell. Let's see what this new format is. I think this new format should be quite interesting. But let's see. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.